History is often considered as immutable bedrock, but in reality, this bedrock is quicksand, which is holding in itself innumerous questions, its explanations, complexities, definitions, and perceptions. So, today we are going to start a very intriguing and dynamic topic from Indian history. Hello everyone, I am Ipshita Bhattacharya from Department of Humanities, BSSS College, Bhopal. Our topic today is Indus Valley Civilization, a very intriguing topic. This is the story of India's oldest civilization. This is one of the world's oldest civilization even. Why I am saying one of the oldest? Because there are three contemporary civilizations which also flourished during this time. Number one was Mesopotamia, Egyptian, Chinese and Indian civilization, that is Indus Valley Civilization. Now, Indus Valley Civilization is approximately 4,500 years old. However, still the researches are going on, and a very recent research suggests that it may be approximately 7,000 to 8,000 years old civilization even. Certain new artifacts and various informations could be seen in Rakhigadi recently. The research is on its way, and probably we will come to know about certain very astonishing facts very soon. So today we are going to understand that what this Indus Valley Civilization was. Now, first of all, Indus Valley Civilization, as the name suggests, we can see it is based upon Indus River system. One of the similarities that you will find in most of the contemporary civilizations of Indus Valley, like Mesopotamia, Egypt and China, you will find that Mesopotamia civilization was survived on the banks of Tigris and Euphrates rivers. Similarly, if we talk about Egyptian civilization, it survived and sustained near the Nile River. Similarly, China near the Huanghe River or the Yellow River. Similarly, when we talk about Indus Valley Civilization, we talk about Indus River system. Now, Indus River system, along with its tributaries, it completely consists of a very vast geographical expansion. And that is perhaps the reason that why this became one of the most important civilizations of its time. Indus Valley Civilization mainly comprises of approximately 1.5 million square kilometers area, which is, if we compare it with today's India, you will find it 3.2 is the current expansion. 3.2 million square kilometer is India's geographical expansion currently. So if we compare it, we'll find it's approximately 50% of India. So that says that this was a huge expansion. Now, in this Valley Civilization, we know that there are certain major sites which were discovered over the years. Indus Valley Civilization's major sites that we will talk about are Harappa, Mohenjo-Daro, Chanudaro, Kalibangan, Lothal, Banwali, Sarkodada and Dholavira. Now, how this civilization was first of all noticed or discovered? Charles Mason. Charles Mason was one of the soldiers from British Army. He abandoned his job, and since he was an history enthusiast, he went on an exploration to this region. 1827 to 1829, he traveled across Baluchistan, Afghanistan and Indian western part of Indian region. And through this journey, he collected many informations which he compiled in form of images or pictures or drawings under the name of a book, The Narratives of the Various Journeys Through Baluchistan, Afghanistan and Punjab. Now, in 1861, British India established the Archaeological Survey of India. Alexander Cunningham was the Director General of ASI, and under his supervision, exploration was conducted in this particular region. But honestly, nothing much was gained in that exploration. It was only in 1920-21 when under the then Director General of ASI, John Marshall, Dayaram Sahini, a very famous archaeologist under the Archaeological Survey of India, he went on with a major excavation in this particular region. And this was the time when he explored and discovered the great city Harappa. Very surprisingly, Dayaram Sahini never named this city after his own name. Harappa can be probably this was a name which was popularly known in that particular region. And in the subsequent years, we'll find that major other discoveries also took place under people like R.D. Banerjee, Aurel Steen, N.G. Majumdar, Amilindu Ghosh, Rao, J.P. Joshi and R.S. Bisht. So major sites were discovered later on. Now, the history of India, which began with the birth of Indus Valley Civilization, which is also of course known as the Indus Valley Civilization, it flourished around 2500 BC in the westernmost part of South Asia. The Indus Valley, which was home to the largest of 4 of the urban civilizations. For an example, I'll show you. This is the Egyptian civilization, Mesopotamian civilization. This is what I'm talking about, Indus Valley Civilization, and this is Chinese civilization. So these were the 4 contemporary civilization, but if you can see, this Indus Valley Civilization is covering the maximum geographical expansion, which is 1.5 million square kilometer. Now in 1920, the Archaeological Department of India, when carried out excavations in the Indus Valley, wherein the ruins of the 2 important cities, that is Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa, were unearthed. One very surprising fact was seen over the subsequent years was that most of the Harappan sites, IVC sites, were discovered near the river systems. Maybe it's Indus River, Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Satluj, Beas. All these sites were majorly sustaining in these river system valley, except one which was in Maharashtra, that was Dholavira. So the researchers were intrigued by this particular observation that Dholavira, what was the attraction in that particular region, because generally it is believed that river systems, the civilizations, they sustain near the river system. Why? Because in order to do their agriculture work and to have their overall needs of water, day-to-day needs, water is required for sustenance. So the proximity to the water bodies definitely helps a civilization to survive. But this astonishing fact that near Dholavira there was no water bodies. So what was that thing which attracted the people of that time to settle down in Dholavira? The reason could be that some of the very precious materials which were found in the soil of the Dholavira, agate, stellite, carnelian, these are some of the very expensive raw materials which were perhaps found in that particular region. And the evidences for these raw materials could be seen in their trade and commerce also, which we will be perhaps discussing later on. Now in 1924, after the discoveries, two major discoveries, that is Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro, John Marshall, who was the Director General of the ASI then, he announced the discovery of a new civilization as Indus Valley Civilization to the world. And this was a major achievement. So the major sites that were discovered from 1921 to 1985, you'll find Harappa, Mohenjo-Daro, Sukta-Jendor, Chanu-Daro. पिछले लाइन से okay. The major site, शुरू करूँ? The major sites of IVC would be Harappa, Mohenjo-Daro, Sukta-Jendor, Chanu-Daro, Amri, Kalibangan, Lothal, Sarkotada, Banavali and Dhoravira. Now this map shows us understanding for the situations of the sites. As we can see in this map that this covers the western part of India and some part of Pakistan extending up to Balochistan. So Harappa, which is the major site and the earliest site to be discovered, then Banavali, Rakhigadi, Kalibangan, Mohenjo-Daro, Chanu-Daro, Alamgirpur. Now Alamgirpur was the easternmost site of this geographical expansion, and the northernmost part was the Manda in Jammu and Kashmir. Similarly, in the southern part it was Daimabad, and on the westernmost part it was the Sukta-Jendor, which is in current Balochistan. Now here you can see some of more sites. It's approximately the Harappan civilization, or the IVC, most popularly known as. It consists of approximately 1500, more than 1500 sites, and still the research is going on. Some of the sites are also in Pakistan. So this image is giving a very basic understanding of their urban settlement. What kind of a settlement was this civilization having? Moving on to the civilization part, well, we know that civilization means when a society shares common interest, common social, common polity, common economy. So civilization evolves in this way. Now Indus Valley Civilization, as we know, is the earliest known civilization, but it is also the most advanced form of urban civilization. Why we are calling it the most advanced form of urban civilization is because of its architectural system. We will find marvelous examples of their architecture. For example, their town planning was completely based upon the grid system. That means their towns were completely in a grid form and in a very structured manner. Town planning on the lines of the grid system, that is streets and lanes, they were cutting across each other almost at a right angle, extremely well planned, thus dividing the whole city into several rectangular blocks. One more very important feature was noticed by John Mason in its very initial observations was that their towns were divided into two parts. The western part, which was known as the citadel, which was raised on a platform higher than the lower city, which in itself depicts perhaps their political system. Maybe citadel was being used for the royal class or the people who were ruling the civilization or ruling that particular city. Similarly, the lower city which we are talking about was very well planned, wherein the marketplace was in the center of the city, surrounded by grid system in right angles. The patterns of the house, many of the cities of the IVC were divided into two or more parts, as we know that citadel and the lower part. What kind of houses do they have? It is being observed through research that their houses were, some of their houses were double-storied even. They also have, each and every individual houses have bathrooms, washrooms and kitchens. Bedrooms are also noticed. They have a very, very well planned drainage system for all the waste water to be accumulated at an appropriate place. Here you can see that what kind of grid system perhaps these cities or sites had. The drainage system of Indus Valley Civilization actually connected all the houses to the street drains, that is the main drainage system, which were covered by stone slabs or bricks. Now these stone slabs or bricks were used to cover the major holes. Perhaps although the filters were put inside the drainage systems in order to save the drainage system from any kind of blockages. But maybe if it at all happens, in that case, so that the stone slabs can be removed and the drainage system can be cleaned. So this mechanism was being used. Houses with single, double and more rooms attached with a very good drainage system. They have their drainage pipes through within the walls. Another important observation which is made in the Indus Valley Civilization is their burial sites. At burials in Harappan sites, you will find that the deads were generally laid in pits. Some graves often contained potteries and ornaments, perhaps giving an idea that people of that time must have believed that there is a life even after death. Jewelry has been found in the burial of both men and women, giving an idea to us that perhaps the jewelries, ornaments were worn by both male and females. At the cemetery in Harappa, an ornament consisting of 3 shell rings, bead and hundreds of micro beads was found near the skull of a male, giving us an idea that there must have been a pearl industry which flourished. Another important architectural site that is being observed in IVC is the Great Path. Now this Great Path is found in Mohenjo-Daro site. Great Path is often talked about because it is a public institution wherein perhaps a religious practice was being practiced there. Now Great Path was a large rectangular tank in form of a swimming pool perhaps, in a courtyard which was surrounded by corridors on all the 4 sides, and these corridors had rooms. Maybe they were used for changing clothes. There were 2 flights of steps on the northern side and on the southern side for going inside the tank. Now this was made watertight. This water tank was being made watertight by laying bricks around the burnt bricks around the perimeter and using the gypsum mortar. giving it a waterproof touch. It also had a very efficient drainage system, and it is being observed that cleaning was occasionally done in this bath. This great bath was perhaps being used for religious purposes, for some kind of celebration, for religious ceremonies. The next is the Great Granary. Now, one of the biggest granary sites which is found in the Indus Valley Civilization is at Mohenjo-Daro. Almost every site found in excavation witnesses the system of granary or the warehouses. Their most staple food was rice, wheat and barley, which was stored in these warehouses. Now, this great granary suggests us an idea and allow us to think that probably they were very well planned for any kind of contingencies arising in the future. So, perhaps that was the reason that they used to build proper granary and very well structured and very well maintained in order to preserve the food for the future days. In our next class, we will cover more topics from IVC. Till then, happy learning. Thank you.